Hey friends, welcome to your week 17 foundations class. Today is going to be centered on our upper spine and our upper body. You'll need a block or something you can squeeze between your legs. You'll need either a foam roller or a bolster or some type of low to medium height elevated surface, and then maybe a higher elevated surface like a chair or a desk, something like that. And let's get started laying on our sides. So come to lay on your right side. We're gonna be going through a bunch of mid-back rotations today. Just as a side note, the way that our vertebrae, our spinal bones are shaped and oriented, our thoracic spine, so the mid-back to the upper back, these bones are meant to rotate on each other based on the way our little facet joints sit. Our lumbar spine, which is our low back, those are not supposed to rotate so much. They have more ability obviously to flex and extend and to side bend a little bit, but not so much rotation. So we get most of our rotation through our back and through our hips as opposed to the low back, just as a side note. And when you start to isolate the mid-back rotation, you might not move as far into twists as you normally would, but we're not compensating, so it's a good thing. Okay, tangent. If you need a little pillow underneath your right side of your head, great option. We're gonna lay onto our right side and bring that block in between your knees so that left knee is stacked on top of right, left pelvis, hip is stacked on top of right, and your belly button is facing straight out to the side. So if you ever feel like you're leaning back and letting that left hip slide back, just go ahead and give that block a good squeeze and that'll secure you into place a little bit better. All right, so let's see, I'm gonna have a little towel roll underneath my head. I think that'll let my neck relax a little bit more. Bring your left hand behind your head. And then your right arm can just kind of be sticking out to the side. So elbow is pointing up to the sky. Check in with your rib cage and pelvis. I just noticed that I was kind of dumping forward, flaring through the ribs. Instead, and I'm engaging my back muscles, let's think about shifting our ribs back to create a nice straight line with our body. Low back muscles are relaxed. Hip muscles are relaxed. Left hand to the back of the skull. And then see how far you can rotate back, opening up through the chest and the mid-back region, rotating, turning to the left. Again, some compensations to look for would be to arch the low back, flare the ribs, let your left pelvis shift back. These are not isolating the movement where we want it to be. So you might not move as far, is what I'm saying. So once you get to the spot that feels like it's the end of your healthy range of motion, take a deep breath in to where the left side of your sports bra would be in the back. So side of the ribs, back of the ribs on the left side. Big breath in. Soft exhale. See if maybe you're able to open up a little bit more. Big breath into the left and back side of your ribs. Exhale, softly release. Let's do 5 more breaths. Of course, with that 360-degree breath, we want it going everywhere. We want it into the belly, the back body, the side waist, the rib cage, even up into your chest and collarbones. So everything will shift a little bit, but if you can bias it towards that left lung, that's gonna be great here. A couple more cycles. Very slight engagement of your core and kind of tucking your pubic bone under just to maintain that stack of rib cage over pelvis. Belly button is facing forward this whole time. One more breath in. Exhale. Notice where you are from where you started, and notice how it's through your mid-back and not through all these other compensations. Good. Come back to your side and we'll switch sides. So you can just easily roll over. I'm gonna switch so I'm facing you. Actually, I'm not. I'm gonna turn away. So maybe you can have a different view if you'd like. Laying on our left side. Squeeze that block. Make sure your pelvis and your knees are stacked on top of each other, avoiding that arching of the low back and the rib flare. So tucking under a little bit. Low back muscles are relaxed. And then bring your right hand to the back of your skull. Elbows pointing up to the sky. From here, gently roll open to the right. One side might feel tighter. This side definitely feels tighter for me. Go to the end of your range of motion where you're avoiding that shifting back or arching. And from here, big full inhale, especially into the back of your sports bra on the right side. Exhale, gently release. Inhale, big breath in. Exhale, squeeze your block. Maybe your right elbow opens up a little bit more. Five more breaths. Big breath in to the right lung. Exhale, squeeze your block. Softly, maybe get a couple more degrees or stay where you are. If that's your limit, if that's where you don't compensate, that's a good place to be. 2 more cycles. And we're hugging our right shoulder blade down the back body. Good. Beautiful. Come back through center and find your higher of the 2 elevated surfaces. So I'm going to roll my chair over here. We're going to do a upper thoracic spine mobilization. Basically like a puppy pose. It's a nice lat stretch as well. So you're going to drop your elbows onto whatever surface you have. And let your chest thread its way down through your armpits. This is not the most stable chair. I would get something a little bit better. From here, bring your palms together and then bend your elbows so that your thumbs come to the nape of your neck. Now we're not dipping the low belly here like we do in puppy pose. So slight engagement of the core. Bring that pelvis into good alignment. Big breath here. You might feel this a lot different on one side versus another depending on lat tightness. My right side is always tighter. And we're thinking about those spinal segments in the upper back starting to drop down a little bit. So the space between your shoulder blades, can you find a little bit of an upward arc as opposed to a rounding without letting the ribs flare? Keep breathing. You could also do this. I'm going to switch to a block because I felt like my chair was going to roll away. Could do this on a block or 2 as well. And 5 more cycles of breath. To pretend you had a nice warm stone in between your shoulder blades on the back of the heart. And that area is just gently sinking down. Full breaths laterally outwards into the rib cage. Good. Gently come back out of that stretch. That's a good one to repeat multiple times if you'd like. All right, we no longer need our tall surface. Feel free to get that out of the way. And then we're gonna come to lie on our bellies. If this isn't comfortable for you this time, you can do this exercise seated, but I would recommend videotaping yourself to look and make sure you're not dumping into your belly. We're gonna do some prone arm lifts. So find a comfortable spot onto your belly. From here, find a little engagement of your glutes and a little baby tucking of your pubic bone down into the mat. Elbows come out to the side, bent at 90 degrees into this cactus shape. Good. Now the idea here is to squeeze your shoulder blades together first. You can lift your elbows up actually and tent onto your fingertips. Now squeeze shoulder blades together and maybe lift your hands up. This is working a lot of postural muscles on the back body, our rhomboids, our middle traps, lower traps, which are gonna be really important as our posture changes with pregnancy, as we go through labor and delivery and have a newborn and find ourselves scrunching and hunching. We're gonna need to keep the back body strong, so I might as well start here and now. Relax if you are still in that squeeze. Let's go again. So tent up onto your fingertips, lift your elbows, engage your glutes, tuck your pubic bone down. Now roll the shoulder blades together on the back body and then down slightly. Keep that engagement and lift your hands up. Try to have your hands just as high, if not a little bit higher than your elbows. Working some external rotation of your shoulders. And we're doing some endurance holds here. Good, relax. You might feel some cramping in the back of the shoulder. Definitely normal, especially if you haven't worked these muscles before. Let's go through 2 more rounds. Tent your fingertips, lift your elbows. Squeeze your shoulder blades into the midline. Hug them down the back body a little bit, and then lift your hands up. Keep those nice steady breaths. Your upper traps, these muscles around your neck, a couple more breaths, should be soft. We're working the mid and lower back. So maybe check in, make sure your upper traps are relaxed. Good, relax. One more. Tent your fingertips, lift your elbows, side shoulder blades in and down, and then lift your fingers. Slight posterior tilt of your pelvis, so tucking it under. Two more breaths. Good. Release. Shimmy out, shake out your shoulders. So now we're gonna go through just 1 round of angel wings, which is where you'll keep the same position of the arms and the pelvis, but bring your elbows up and down. So find that posture again. Move your shoulder blades, lift your elbows and hands. And now we're straightening arms, bending our arms so our elbows come down towards our rib cage. Good, extend them forward and then bring them down. Back of my right shoulder is cramping. I don't know if yours is. Good, we're gonna do 4 more. Extend, bend, couple more. Keep squeezing shoulder blades together. Last one. Perfect. Relax, release. Find your foam roller or bolster and lay onto your back. The bolster or foam roller will be at the very top of your space. And you're gonna lay down, but your knees will be bent, and we're gonna have our block nearby in case we need it between the legs. So, just as a little practice rep, I want you to bring your arms overhead and notice kind of where you start to arch the low back and let the ribs flare. If the height of the surface is way too low, this is a good place to adjust. So this seems like a good working height for me in that I didn't start arcing all the way up here and then have all this distance. So what we're gonna do is find our nice pelvic posture. You are welcome to do an adductor squeeze or hamstring engagement. We're gonna lift our arms up and overhead, avoiding that rib flare. Once they touch the surface behind you, we're going to press our thumbs down. So our palms are facing each other. Press the thumb side of your wrist down and then reach your fingertips into the space above you. So it's a pressing down and a reaching up. This is gonna work our lower traps and also our serratus muscle. That is the muscle. If a person, usually a guy, is super ripped, they will have this muscle wrapping on the side of the rib cage. And what this does is it actually tucks underneath your shoulder blade and brings it into a better position on the back body to avoid a couple things. So if you have a weak serratus, you might have a winging scapula, which I can kind of force myself to do here. The serratus really locks that down, the lower tip of your scapula. And also, if we have a strong and functional serratus, it can take a lot of pressure off of some of these muscles around the pec minor and our neck muscles, which can overcompensate and become really tight, especially if we have a shallow breathing pattern. So serratus, funny little muscle, but important. All right. So together we're gonna lift arms up and overhead, press our thumbs into the bolster or foam roller, and then really lengthen through the sides of our armpits to stretch our fingertips up towards the top of our mat. Good, inhale, relax. Exhale, squeeze your blocks or engage your hamstrings. Press down and reach fingertips up. Inhale, relax. Soften through the upper traps. Exhale, squeeze, contract, press thumbs, reach up through fingertips. Inhale, relax. Exhale, contract, squeeze, press thumbs, and lift fingertips up, 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 like you can stretch your arms longer. Good, 3 more. Inhale, relax. Exhale, engage. Inhale, release. I think I said 3 more, so we have 2 more. Exhale, squeeze adductors or hamstrings. Engage your core, press your thumbs down, and reach your fingertips up. Last one. Good, release. Definitely some funky, different movements, but our whole body is connected, so it's important to work upper body, middle of the body, lower part of the body. Our serratus, I didn't say this, also pretty much lines up. It's higher than, but runs in a similar pattern and direction as our external obliques. And as those fibers interact, it's kind of the connection point between our upper body and our core. So another reason to have a functioning serratus. All right, one more exercise. If you really enjoyed the first one we did, the sidelying mid-back rotation, You can always go back to that if this one doesn't work for you, but we're gonna kick it up a notch. Come on to hands and knees, quadruped position or tabletop. Again, we're gonna have that block or blanket, whatever you have to squeeze between your legs to really stabilize your pelvis in place. So from here, stacking hips over knees and shoulders over wrists, we are going to shift our weight into our right hand and lift our left hand up. So see first how that feels. You'll need to engage that serratus again, so pushing the ground away instead of letting the back body dip down. Bring your left hand to the back of your skull. Take an inhale to grow long and take that big 360 breath in. Exhale, engage pelvic floor, squeeze block, engage core, and then open your left elbow up to the sky. You might not get very far because we're not letting ourselves shift our hips back. We're not letting ourselves arch through the low back. It's just isolated at the upper back, which means it's harder. Good. Inhale, full breath in. Exhale, engage. See if you can press through your right palm and lift your left elbow up to the sky. Breathe in here. Exhale, release. Inhale to lift up. Exhale, release. Whole time our left hip bone is facing down and our belly button is facing down. Inhale, press through right palm, lift left elbow up. Exhale, let go. Good, 2 more. Last one. Good. Woo, those are tough. All right, I'm actually gonna stay the same side so you can see from a different angle and maybe see that I'm really not moving that far, and that's okay. So now we're gonna press down through our left palm. Squeeze that block. First, just lift your left hand or your right hand and see if you're able to maintain that pushing away, that serratus engagement, shoulder blade hugging on the back body instead of letting it wing. Good, now bring right hand to the back of your head. Inhale for length along the side waist. Exhale, squeeze your block, engage pelvic floor and your core, and then open your right elbow up to the sky as you press left palm down. Inhale, big breath, release. Exhale, engage pelvic floor, adductors, core, press down through left palm, open right elbow up. Good, switching the breath, breathe in here. Exhale, gently let go. 5 reps here, inhale to open up, right elbow peels up to the sky. Exhale, release. Inhale, push the ground away with your left palm. Hug right hip bone down towards the mat. Release. 2 more with your own breath. Good. Woo! Shake out your arms. All right. So now notice your breath maybe. I like to take a little swivel side to side, feeling that mobility through my upper back. By the way, this is a really funny looking but helpful thing to do. If you're walking, like going on a neighborhood walk, swing your arms side to side. And you can notice how this will loosen up your thoracic spine as well. Or you can do it like I was just doing it, kneeling or sitting. Take some deep breaths. See how much deeper and fuller that feels. And thank you for doing this class. I know this is the boring, not so fun stuff, but you won't regret addressing these little nuances and having a couple of these exercises in your back pocket. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.